studying again and get ready for the Chargers. We're excited about the week. We're excited about the challenge. So, just back to work.
They're a really good football team. Got a ton of talent across the board.
It's a big challenge, Everybody on this team, everybody in this locker room is ready to accept that challenge.
Blitz comes, they pick it up, now he's in trouble being chased. Jelani Tavai got him! Welcome to the NFL, young man!
It's always dope coming home, being able to see the crowd, seeing how energized everybody's going to be, for the home opener. We got to come out, have fun, show some energy, get the crowd into it.
Matthew looks, throws, got a man, Kenny Galladay, he can walk in. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
It's a whole lot of fun to go out there and play, use the crowd noise to our advantage, hopefully excite them with some big touchdowns.
Stafford wants to throw, does, end zone, caught, touchdown, Detroit Lions. TJ Hockenson with a catch.
I'm ready to see what the fans go bring.
Kind of our first week here with just kind of a normal progression through the week. So Friday in our world, getting ready for obviously red area and some other situational plays that come up. So pushing through meetings this morning. We're excited to just get out in the field and have a good day. I think the guys have worked hard this week, and obviously the Chargers are a huge challenge for us on all three phases. They really present a lot of problems. So we're just trying to learn this team as quickly as possible and understand what they do well and who their great players are. And certainly in each phase of the game, it changes, and the red area would be a big one for a lot of their better players. So we've got to have a good day, got to go practice, and we're just kind of getting in mode, which is great. We just love to have the routine. We love to have just the normalcy of meetings and practice and film and meetings and practice and just get going. So it's exciting. I'm excited to be home. I'm excited to get into our stadium. I'm excited to feel the fans, feel the energy. We're going to need it, when you face a great offense and you have that kind of, kind of just encouragement and energy and excitement from our home fans just helps us, and so we're looking forward to that here on Sunday. So
I know you were looking for the team to do a better job of putting losses behind them than they did last year. I know you said earlier in the week you liked the energy and you liked the way everyone was preparing, but now that you've gotten to the last point, to Friday,
sure.
How have you seen the team respond to the loss?
Yeah, I think big picture, we'll obviously, see how this weekend goes. But I mean, really, in the moment right now, we're totally on the Chargers. Everybody's really focused right now, which is great. We're going to need it. So I don't feel any of that right now at all.
Limited 2019 tape of the Chargers. How much do you go back to the playoff loss they had last year? Obviously, similar coaching DNA and schematic DNA to what New England does. Is there anything you can pull from what they did this year, or the roster's just too different? I think there's probably a combination of all of it. Plus it's outside, it's in the middle of the winter. Things change as far as offense and things like that. So those are actually factors. Those come into play when you get into some of those games. And I think where both of those teams were at the end of the year and how they had built through the season is just different a little bit. We're looking at all the tape though. We're going to check all of it from last year. Some really good games out there for us to look at. Early in the season and then late too. But you try to analyze as much as you can, understand that, as a coach, you don't want to,
try to just dig too deep to find nothing, from that aspect of it. You want to make sure the information you're giving the players is good. It's good, solid information that we can play through and react off of. There's still an element of the early part of the season, the unknown part of that. Unfortunately, I was through that. Not what year it was, but it was like the third game of the year, and Miami showed up in Wildcat, and no one had seen it, but they had been working on it all through the spring, so it came out of nowhere. So early in the year, you're just kind of just making sure that fundamentally you're in the right place from that standpoint on all three phases.
How much different are the coaching points for you? You mentioned doing the red zone work every week. You have a day just sort of set aside for it. How much different are the coaching points for you on those days?
They're all unique. Early downs, third downs, red area, 2-minute. As we break the game down, there's going to be different aspects of it that are really important that we understand. In all three phases. Sometimes things carry over. There's concepts, that you're trying to identify from your opponent, and when you can bridge the gap between those and, move one concept to another concept based on situation, that helps you from a learning standpoint. But all of those phases are different, and they're all really critically important, obviously. So, red area being one of the most important ones.
Coach Taylor Decker had a really tough day. What do you do when a player, do you help him mentally, fundamentals, whatever, just to get him, back on his feet on him for the next game?
I think for, team had a tough day. We didn't play the way we wanted to, but, we just move forward. That's what's great about the game. Everybody moves forward. And the biggest thing for all of the players and the coaches and all of it is just, let's learn. Let's find out what we did not so well. Let's try to improve it. Again, a lot of it's going to go back to fundamentals, techniques, building that foundation of things that you need to go to in those situations, and just pushing back through. And the best thing for us, honestly, in all of those situations, is just going back out and practicing. And that's where the difference makes. You can sit in the meetings, you can watch the tape, you can do all that, but when we go out and we practice, that's where we build our confidence back up, that that we're going to be in good position to, handle those situations when they come back up. And that's really the best way to focus on that.
Yeah, speaking of that,
I'll come back to you in a second. It's okay. Go ahead.
It's kind of what Kyle said too. I'm sorry, Dave. Just from a head coaching perspective, with what happened on Sunday, knowing how big this game is on Sunday and a couple big ones after that, is there an extra sense of anxiety from you to wonder kind of how your team is going to bounce back after that?
Yeah, no. Every game, we got 16 of them. They're all high anxiety games. They're all critically important. So we just, it's 1 week season. So that's how you have to approach it. Again, I think if you, if you take extra undue stress or whatever external pressure and put it on top of something that's already very much a pressure situation, you go outside of the moment, and you just have to stay in that moment, because it's really the only way that anybody in any profession, in any job, in any stressful situation can make good, clean decisions, is to execute and stay in the moment itself. And that's really, it's the same approach we take. We study that. We talk with a lot of different organizations, a lot of different, teams or military or whatever it may be, that have to handle those situations, and staying within the moment is usually the best way to do that, and not putting anything else on top of it. There's enough pressure within the moment itself, to execute through.
We talked about the two tight ends before, your two tight end offense, but you guys were incredibly efficient with it this past game. I think Stafford he didn't miss a pass in 200 yards or something like that, at least passing. Can you just explain why, beyond personnel, why that is so effective for you guys?
Just in general, like we talked a little bit about it with football and the game right now. I think some of those positions, the tight ends being one of them, where the players are really caught in between run and pass, let's just say, and you're trying to identify as a defense, how do I defend this? Do I defend it this way? Do I defend it that way? And really try to put the other team in a bind from that standpoint. And a lot of times you may catch a team that simplifies. You may catch a team that becomes more aggressive. You may be able to catch a team that becomes a little bit more passive. And I think you can just try to find tendencies and patterns in there to exploit those situations. There's a lot of teams that are really comfortable against that stuff, and they do a good job of understanding maybe the hybrid type of player or position in general that they have to defend against. So I think it goes from, the tight end position, which we talked a lot about, but also within position groups, there may be different types of players within the wide receiver group, within the running back group, within the skill positions all the way across the board on offense that might have just a little bit different skill sets and things that you can benefit from. Whereas, the opponent may lump them into the same category, and you can kind of branch off just a little bit in a different way.
Are more efficient against, that or whatever it is. Is it based on the scheme they play, the personnel they have? Is there something, as you game plan?
Yeah, it's probably different based on who it is. I mean, some teams are going to scheme it. Some teams are going to just rely on their personnel because they have great personnel, and they can do what they do. So it's all more the comfort level of the opponent and how they feel best they can handle it. But it's just, in general, it's just things that you're looking for when you're trying to game plan from that sort of mentality. You're just trying to figure out, hey, how do we get an advantage?
The third down offense hasn't been up to where you'd like it since you've been here, really, and week one was kind of a continuation of that. What do you guys need to do to get better at those gotta-have-it plays, as you call them?
I think, it's a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, we got to coach them better. It's always going to be first and foremost. We got to make sure we're in good plays. We got to make sure we have good, sound, fundamental execution or executable things on the field that they can do. And, I think a lot of those situations, it's kind of like everything. The more one group can play together from a consistent standpoint over a longer period of time, you just learn some nuances about, the guys on the field. So whether it's the offensive line or whether it's the skill players, the quarterback, whatever it is in those situations, those gotta-have-its or third downs or whatever it is, where things are going to be multiple, things are going to be different. There's going to be a little bit different each single week. The more you guys are always on the same page or the players are always kind of just working together, it's the same guy. There's a trust level that builds up. There's a rapport, or just sometimes on the field there's body language. Guys speak to each other in different ways. There's a lot of nonverbal communication that says, hey, I'm open, I'm not open, or throw it here or put it there, or this is the protection, or we got to pick this up. And it's like anything, the more reps you can get at that stuff together, then usually you get better as you go through.
The key to unlocking a good offense is to be able to be consistent on those third down, sustained drives.
I mean, being consistent is obviously the biggest thing. It's consistency and improvement, and I think part of the thing that we're always trying to preach, though, is if there is a change or if there is something that is different, everybody else who steps in or everybody in those situations they have to be consistent. And in order to do that with maybe somebody that has to step in and take a role, or you see something different, is that improvement, just seeing that improvement from one week to the next, and then that builds that trust and then that consistency from there.
Target number on third down that you're looking for, like an average yards to go or whatever.
Kind of like a range, you mean, that's like efficient? Yeah, I mean, certainly, obviously, the closer you can get, the more your efficiency will go up. It's funny, sometimes teams, though, that are, when you track that stuff, they may be less efficient on like a 1 to 2 and then more efficient on like 3rd and 5 and then less efficient on 3rd and longer. I've played teams that have been extremely efficient on like 3rd and 10, which doesn't make any sense, but that's where they're really good at, So you try to look at all those numbers, but general theory would be the closer you can get to the first down marker, the higher percentage chance you have to convert it. So kind of a mentality of trying to stay on track and making sure that first and second down are good so that you set up a good third down situation.
On fourth down, too, like the coach at Army, he's got that, just how you plan when to go in what situations and all that. You do the same thing for like 4th and 1, 4th and 2.
Yeah, what was the middle part of the question? I missed it. I'm sorry.
Well, the coach at the university at Army's got that, how he goes for it on 4th down
sure.
in his own 30 based on down distance. Do you have that same, maybe not that extreme, but the same thing for 4th?
A little bit different team kind of situation there where they're trying to grind out the game and play like 5 series total there in the game. So 4th and 1 situations are interesting. It depends on where they come up. Field position goes into a lot of it. Personnel goes into a lot of it. Depends on what kind of game it is. You're trying to, in those sort of, call them turnover downs, right? You're trying to really assess all 3 phases and what's the benefit of all 3 phases at that time. And that'll change from early in the game to late in the game, certainly, in those deals. And sometimes it changes within the game. You may have a plan going in, and it may have to be something totally different when you get into the game and find out either this is really working, this is not working, this didn't look good, and then try to adjust before you get back to those situations. But look at it as like it's a turnover down. So when you make those decisions, all 3 phases really need to come into account. Does that make sense? Okay.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
The film part of it. Can you somehow look at this as a positive, and can you become a better player?
Oh, most definitely. And I kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, but just being able to get a feel for how my guys think, how Jelani, how Christian, how DK, how Jalen, how everybody thinks who's playing in that linebacker room, and then getting a feel for what the D-line is seeing, what the DBs are seeing. Like, not being out there gives me a chance to kind of not only roam on the game day, but in practice. I can roam on the sideline and say, hey, what did you see right here? Like, why did you call this? Why did you check that? Like, what were you thinking? What made you do that? And just to be able to get a feel for what all the other 11 guys are doing or other 10 guys are doing out there, like, it really helps me out with what I'm doing. It makes me more secure in what I'm trying to do within the defense.
Feel like a coach out there?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. It might be something I think about in the future. I can't make the decision yet. It's too early. Way too early.
Would you coach like little kids or at college or what?
I don't know, man. I think I'll probably coach kids. It's nice to have an impact on a younger crowd, you know. Get them moving in the right direction early.
Report on Phillip Rivers and how good he is.
He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and whenever you play against a guy like that, it's really exciting. You know, he's very precise. He's an extremely good player. I went and played against him one time before this, and you know, it was very interesting because he's a really good quarterback. So I'm excited.
No Melvin Gordon, but that didn't seem to really bother them on the ground last week.
Yeah, then football is the next man up kind of game, and it doesn't matter who's starting and who's not. The next guy can always do an awesome job. That's how a lot of guys win jobs, and clearly the guys that have the backfield now are doing a really good job.
What does Eckler bring to the table?
He's tough. You know, he's a tough back. He's hard to bring down, and he's very fast. You know, he's shorter, he's compact. So you got to get everybody on him to bring him down.
Unfortunately, last week in Arizona, they kind of got away there in the fourth quarter. What needs to be improved upon in that area?
Just had to finish. Started off hot. They need to keep that for 60-plus minutes.
How do you do that? I mean, we hear you say we've got to finish. What do you need to actually do?
We need to do what we did in the first half and not do what we did in the second half. Simple, right?
Fair.
Yeah, see?
Anything different this week after Murray last week?
You don't have any?
You're good.
Okay.
Preparing for a scrambler, you know, only on college tape to Phillip Rivers, who's about to make his 230th consecutive start. You know, anything different in preparation this week?
You know, Kyler's a rookie, and he's going to do a lot of things that rookie quarterbacks do. And difference is he's a lot of quarterbacks see coming out of college now. They're like super track athletes. You know, a lot of those guys are really fast, really elusive. So Phillip is more of a pro-style, conventional type of quarterback, but he does have pocket awareness. And if we're undisciplined with our rushes, he will make us pay for it. So can't just go in there and think that you can lose contain or not do your job, because he'll make you pay for it.
Yeah, Patricia said he's great at kind of sidestepping in that pocket, like he doesn't get enough credit for that. You agree with that?
Yeah, and if you watched in their playoff games, he did pull it down and run a few times and did a good job at it.
What's the challenge in remaining disciplined in the pass rush while also, you know, since they have that good ground game, being disciplined in the run game at the same time?
Everybody in the NFL has gotten here by being able to play the run and rush the passer. So if that's a trait that you lack, then, you know, you're really going to struggle here. And I like our guys here. Everybody can play the run. Everybody can, get pushed up the middle. So it's just doing your job. You got to be able to rush passer. You have to be able to stop the run. And whatever that play is, you have to stop it.
Mike, how close was the defense to kind of reaching its potential last week in the first three quarters? So is that kind of what you guys can be as a unit?
We're all improving. You know, it's a day-by-day process, and that's what it's all about. That's really it. You know, we had a good week of practice, and the next step is tomorrow get on the film, and then the step after that is Sunday the game.
What's your you've played at Ford Field a number of times in the other colors. So
yes.
Are you looking forward to being on the home team, and what's your sense of what it's like to play?
Absolutely, I'm very excited to go to play for my new home here, and Ford Field was always one of my favorite places to come and play. I've always enjoyed playing in the Dome. You know, this place gets loud, it gets excited. They have that giant Pepsi bottle, I think, so that's going to be pretty cool. The touchdown song used to annoy me. Now I'm looking forward to hearing it. So I'm really excited to be able to play out here. Really excited to get in front of a new fan base and be on their side for once. I've lost here quite a bit of times, and the atmosphere here is definitely conducive towards the home team winning.
Is there a memory that stands out about playing at Ford Field for you? Is there a game or a memory that stands out in your career?
Two. I remember getting embarrassed out here on Thanksgiving, and I remember the Hail Mary pass game. So it's then I remember just straight up getting whooped on the last 2 years. There's no other way to put it, got whooped on. So now I'm excited to be on this side of it.
Have you learned the words to the fight song?
I don't know. I'm not even going to try to imitate it, embarrass myself, but no, I don't. Yeah, I would be furious as soon as I hear that song. But now I'm looking forward to hearing it and jumping up and, being excited to hear it. It's a good song. It always meant that we got scored on. So.